Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Podcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever. But, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
Elio normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Podcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hello, welcome back to another episode brought to you guys by sportsnews.com. As always, mate, Valencia on Sunday. We're getting Wigfield on in 10, 15 minutes or so now. What do you think? Obviously, the man of the moment, 27:38, matched that national record. And then on the women's side, Eilish, strong performance from her as well. But Valencia just continues to deliver, doesn't it? It's getting quicker and quicker. It's the Boston of the roads. Is that what Hookway said to you, mate?
It's what everyone's saying. I think it is the Boston of the roads. And I think, I think there were 570 Brits, I think, made the, or was it about 500? Anyways, roughly 500 odd people, from Britain made the trip out to Valencia when you look on the results.
Staggering numbers anymore, mate, because the Para 10's down. So
Para 10 is down. That means we can say what we want. No one can fact check it. Fantastic. But no, when I sort of studied the results and I looked and I was like, I wonder how many Brits actually went out there. Yeah, 500 odd Brits went out there. I thought that's a staggering number to go to Valencia, and you think about, races in the UK and that much quality and stuff. And just to break it down, I think 15 national records in the men's race, 5 national records in the women's race, 40 men broke 30 minutes, 13 sub 29, and obviously we had 5 sub 28. And on the women's side, 13 British women, this is just British stats, 13 broke 33, 8 broke 32, and 3 broke 31. I think what was staggering, I mean, we're about to get Wigfield on. I mean, he PB'd by almost a minute. There were a lot of people in that position, though. It wasn't just him. He rightly, hasn't run a 10K in a while. Hadn't run a 10K in a while anyway. But there were people running 5K PBs en route to their 10K PB, and that's absurd. That does not happen.
Especially at that level.
At that level, yeah, I'm talking, yeah. And so it was a staggering race. I think the conditions must have been perfect. They tweaked the course just a touch, supposedly to help with, to keep the athletes sheltered for a little bit longer. But once again, I mean, this race just gets faster and faster and faster, doesn't it? The depth of it. Mm-hmm. But we have to talk. I mean, we're obviously going to get Wigfield on to break down it from his perspective. We have to talk about the coverage a little bit. I thought it was a shame. That this is a huge meet globally. There is so much interest. I mean, like I say, across both races, there's 20 national records there. What race in the world delivers that?
Yeah.
Maybe Valencia half of Valencia Marathon, and so to have just one lead vehicle on Almgren and then obviously one on the Spanish athlete, I thought was a shame when there was so much obviously going on behind. Would it be too much of an issue to have a few static cameras out there so we can see people where they are passing through 5K, passing through 3K to go, those sorts of key markers on the course? But I guess that's where our sport is.
There's not really any road race though, mate. If you think about it, that gets a coverage like spot on. I don't think anyway.
Major marathons do it. Major marathons do the job. The only thing
even so, mate, it's never what we want to see.
No, the only thing,
I mean, they get the front guys, they get the front men and the front women, but there's never we're never seeing that British race really unfold. Even in a London Marathon, where I think we should see it a lot more than we do, we don't really get that.
Yeah. The only thing that grates me in major marathons when they spend too much time looking at the masses, but I do understand that from the meet point of view. But I think with Valencia, it's the intel, right? I think we want positions. When they roll through 1K, we want splits. I think they had one split of 5K, and even that had a bit of a question mark around it. Was it the 5K marker? Was it not? And I think that's all we needed. We wanted to see, you think about how people tuning into this race. They're like, right, is the Portuguese national record going to go today? Is the British record going to go? And you want to see where Beatty, where Wiggy, where Eilish, where all these people are in the race and how far off of that record. And I think that we just need a little bit more as as fans, I think. But yeah, I mean, Valencia delivered. I hope that all of those, you look on the women's and the men's side, I hope all of those people race against each other again in a race setting, on the track. I hope they all turn up to Highgate and they battle it out over 25 laps. Because I think it is sometimes a shame that, everyone runs very fast, but that could be the last time those guys race each other for another 12 months.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because on the roads, they don't mind the scalps so much. They don't feel...
Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. Everyone gets a PB. I mean, so many PB. Yeah, I think if you went to Valencia,
let's sweep up some of these results.
Sure, sorry.
Then obviously I'm going at the front, 26:45. The guy's on fire at the moment. Like coming off the summer, coming into these road races, he's relentless, mate. Like when is he gonna take over the world?
Yeah, I said before, I think, this is probably the guy who could challenge
the very best.
I think he could challenge Jacob over the 5,000 going forward. That might be a bold claim, but he's looking just so strong. And, some of the sessions he's churning out. And then, I think surely he is he's one of the best. You look at the guys on the track. I mean, okay, you got Gressier and stuff like that. But I think Almgren in a pure foot race would beat, would crush Gressier, I think. Just in a Valencia setting, I think he would put Gressier away. And so all he needs to do is just work on that closing speed a little bit, which I think he's obviously going to do. So in 2028, and over the next couple of years, this guy, just could be sort of world star. Really, I was very impressed. He said he had a couple more seconds in the bag. He had to do a lot of the heavy lifting as well. He did have that young Ethiopian, I thought took it up at just the right time. Almgren says he didn't get any help. That Ethiopian, about 7K, just started forging on. And Almgren was able just to tuck in behind him. And I think that was a crucial point in the race to drag him through to that record, because that's right where things would start to slip. Or if you work hard in that 6 to 8K period, you often don't have that closing speed in the last K that you would like. And so I think that really helped Almgren, and that might be overlooked a little bit. But he was bloody impressive, that Ethiopian.
Yeah, Bajiga, just 19 years old, I'm looking at now, which is 2006, mate. Sickening. And then, obviously the Brits, Wigfield, 27:38. Obviously, like you said, we'll speak to him. 11th place as well, which I think is important to know. Like in a world-class race, finishing 11th is a top performance. Manthorpe, 27:40 and 16th. BT, 27:41, did a lot of the work. Was it worth missing the World Cross for? I guess only he can give us that answer. It's a top performance, but I think he really did want to go after that record. Bouchard, 27:43 in 20th. Super impressive him. I did not think Bouchard still had these times in him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Zach Mohammed. Yeah, Bouchard, New Balance contract comes to an end. And so what's he going to do next year? I think the Euro standard 27:50, I think what's exciting is all of these guys can now, and I hope they're trying to represent on the track, and I hope, they're going to contest at some point. They're going to need to have a trial for that World Road Running Championships. I think it's going to be a very difficult team to pick. Or it's just 5K and a half, isn't it? It's mile 5K and a half. For that, there is no 10K. I don't think. I'll double check that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, mate, to be honest with you. I'll be guessing.
I didn't think I know in the Europeans they had one, but I didn't think they had one at the last time at the World Road Running Championships. But anyway, it was very impressive to see all these guys. And I think on the women's side as well, Alex Bell, Izzy Fry, they're all crushing under 31 minutes.
Mate, they are. And for me, obviously, Eilish has taken top spot, 30:08 in terms of the
that shocked me. I think that shocked me.
Yeah.
That really did shock me.
Alex Bell, though, that's the performance of the day on the women's side. And I think purely because I can't be alone in thinking that when Alex Bell moved to the roads, that he felt like she wasn't going to perform at the level that she performed at on the track, and it was almost a bit of not a retirement, but like a step away from like that high performance and caliber of racing. And yes, like she has made an Olympic final, and she's not there yet in terms of these new races. But when you're running 30:57, you're putting away Izzy Fry. She's put away Alex Millard couple weeks ago. She's putting away some of our top 5 and 10,000 meter athletes in the UK. Is she going to go make another team now in the summer? Like, I don't see why not. I don't see why she's not going to go and make teams and compete on the world stage again.
Yeah. I think that the 5K team is very challenging. And, I would also argue, 10K on the track is a different beast. And it's just whether the desire is there. I think let's put things into perspective. I think Valencia was, for most people, was worth close to 20 to 30 seconds quicker than what, and I think just the race, I think that's what it's given people. You look at where people stand 90% of the year, and that's why I think the comparisons to Boston start to come out now, because it's like, okay, well, is anyone going to be able to replicate those sorts of performances anywhere else at any other time in a year? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. They might, I look at Almgren, that really sharp end. Maybe he can go around 26:30 something on the track. It's just so difficult to get a good race on the track, like at that level. And then again, I think to Highgate in the summer, I'm like, for those guys to go and run 27:30, I mean, is a challenge. You've got to be prepared the last 2 miles to probably run solo. Yeah, and it's sort of history tells us that most people, that 9 times out of 10 at Highgate, that race, everyone comes in that 27:50, 28 minute mark. Like, people just pop on the track. There's just a lot more surging involved. So
they do, but a lot of these women have qualified on the road. So do they even need to run quick again? Well, for the Europeans, I mean.
Oh, but this is the thing. Yeah, I guess you don't need to go and churn out that time, but you need to be capable of the equivalent. And whether that's closing the last 2K in, X time for these women, 5:40 or so, on the men's side, whether it's closing that last mile in close to 4 minutes. Now that's 4:10 or whatever. And I think that's something that you now need to go and develop. But whilst you're trying to develop that, it becomes very challenging to keep that strength in as well. So I'm not sure Alex's drive is there to do it on the track. To answer your question, obviously this debate, I'm just not sure that she, like the European Championships, I honestly just don't think that will excite her that much. I think she'll look at the summer and she'll go, I'll get a big base in. She'll definitely want to attack that World Road Running Championships.
Yeah.
And I think, she might want to go there and run the half marathon. And if you want to be at your very best over a half marathon on September the 20th, then in August, you're probably going to be in a pretty big block.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Anyway, mate, we better get Wiggy on. So let's get Wiggy on. Let's hear about his opinions from Valencia, and then we can dissect the race a little bit more once we know more from the man himself, equaled that British record, Joe Wigfield.
Yeah, here he is.
Mate, yeah, how's things? How's it been post the craziness of Valencia?
Yeah, it's been a bit mental, can't lie. Like, I think it only kind of like settled in yesterday, maybe the day before. Like, obviously I was on like massive high, and like I was more just shocked at myself and being able to do that. And then it kind of settled a bit. Like, the reaction from it's obviously like been amazing. So yeah, it's just quality.
Yeah, first off, obviously congrats from us. You say you're surprised by it. I guess surely there's an element where we kind of knew you were capable of something decent, like how quick were you expecting to go? Because you don't go there wanting to run 30 minutes, right?
No, yeah. I originally set out with the plan of running 28 minutes. Like, that was kind of where I thought I was at. Like, obviously I've done 2 10Ks before. One was Valencia and one was like that runner one, which is kind of just like a training run more than anything. And like the PB beforehand was 28:40. Like, if I can knock like 40 seconds off it, like, I'll be buzzing. Like, knowing the people that I've run around 28 minutes, like, obviously I want to put myself up there with them, but I feel like maybe that next step's going to be a bit more of a push and a bit more experience. But yeah, so I then just decided that I may as well like go for it. Like, within like 30 seconds of the race, I was like, I'm going to latch onto this group and sit there and wait and see how long I can stay there for.
Yeah, mate, how did that group play out? Because obviously on the stream, we didn't get to see much of that cluster of men who all came through from 27:30 to 27:50. And there was a good 20-30 of you. So did it separate quite quickly? Like, Almgren, couple stragglers trying to hang on to him. And then there was just such a bunch. From looking at some social media images and videos, looks like there was a big, deep bunch of you.
Yeah, I think there was like a group of like 20, I want to say.
Yeah.
And like, it was a group of like me, Scott, the Wheelers, Butchie, Alfie, I think may have been a few others, not too sure. But like from the start, I was like, I'm going to sit in this group, and I had no correlation of how fast like the top runners are going to run. I just wanted to sit in there, and it looked like they were miles up the road when actually within the first mile, they're like 5-10 seconds ahead of you, and you're like, oh, you must be like flying if that's the case. And then obviously they kind of separate off, and I think there was I haven't really watched the stream back. I only kind of watched the finish because I knew that that's where I would be able to be seen. And like I think there was a group of like maybe 3 or 4 at the front, and then a few like individuals in behind, and then like cluster of us running all around like the same, like aiming to go for like that 27:40. And I think there was like 20 of us, and I know Scott was up at the front pushing that on. Fair play to him. He obviously dragged a lot of people around. And then there was a couple of others, and it only kind of really separated a little bit with the fact of like when you're coming back on yourself after, I think it's like 3K to go, 2 miles, like that's when people started making a move. And like I remember like Scott made a move because he followed some other guy. I don't know his name, unfortunately, but Scott knew him. And he said he's quite a reliable runner and knows when to make the right moves. So Scott went with him, and I kind of thought like I may as well go with him, but it took me like 5-10 seconds to react. And then I went with him. And then all of a sudden I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. My stomach went a little bit, like it's been quite common with me where like my lactate like spikes quite like suddenly. And I was like, I'm just going to sit back again, try and settle. Hopefully this group comes back to us. And then I kind of just thought, I saw the 2K to mark at 2K to go. And I was like, it's 5 laps of the track. Like I just got to tick off each part now, like thinking of it's like a lap. And then, like going into that home straight, like I've seen on the video that like, what's his name, Algerman or whatever, he thinks that first gantry is the finish. Like I remember doing that last time, thinking it was that, and like knowing that I was, there's like 5. So I just had to keep pushing down that home straight.
Yeah, it's a long old straight, isn't it? And like you say, it's good to have experience on those courses. Did you expect it going in to come down to as much of a sprint finish as it did?
Well, I think I knew that there was a fair few people, especially Brits, that is capable of that time. Like obviously last year you had Rory and Charlie. Both of them went under the British record, and I kind of knew the shape that Scott was in. He was probably going to be going for it. And then the wheelers, obviously, having done it last year, they'll want to go for it again. So I did know that there was like a good amount of Brits that would actually want to go for that time. So for me, it was just kind of, I wanted them in the eye line more than anything. It just ended up me being in that group. But I just kind of expected that everyone's going to kind of be there till like the last mile, and then you'll see how it'll play out. Will play out however it was meant to be, really.
Mate, you must have known who you were passing in that last straight. You mentioned letting Scott go a little bit further out, but when did you start to put a foot down? When did you start kicking? Because you must have been, was it just Scott that you remember passing, or, because Butchie was right behind, Manthorpe was right there as well. There was a whole cluster of you, and were you aware of all those guys and what they were up to in that last 400, last 600?
Yeah, like I could see Scott up in the distance. I think he maybe had like going into that last turn, and I think probably around like 20, 25, 30 meters on me. And I could just see him, like, obviously he's gave it a good effort from far out, and I just wanted to keep pushing. I could see him coming with me. I knew Alfie would finish quite fast as well. And like, luckily, like you can hear people shouting for other people's names, like, so you kind of know that they're around. And I just had to give him it all. And like, I think I said on my Strava, like closed that last 400 meters in around like 62 seconds. So I was giving it a good crack up that home straight. And I knew I could see Ephraim coming. I think Zach Mohammed was coming back towards me as well. And I remember coming up to Scott, and Scott took a look over his shoulder and saw me, and he surged again. I was like, oh, please no, like I don't want to surge again. Like, I'm already dying as it is. But it was only really when I got close to the finish line as well, like you kind of understand like the time you're going to run as well.
Yeah.
Because you lose track, like, on your watch, like, from the splits. Like, you don't really know what you're going to run. And then as soon as you get closer, you can see the time. I remember seeing the clock and it said, like, when I could first properly see it, it was like 27:20. I was like, I'm absolutely flying it. And everyone must be as well. So I just had to keep on pushing to see if I can get under.
Mate, and you wound, was it 11th you got? You know, just outside the top 10 in a race like Valencia is a bloody good performance as well. It wasn't just the time that you delivered, but you got a pretty low stick as well.
Yeah, I think it was 11th. And like, obviously, I remember last time I came 30th and I ran 28:40. So it just shows how fast it's moved on and the depth of it. And, you know, like, people go there to run fast. So, you know, I didn't know I came 11th at the time. It was only when the results came out, and I was like, it's kind of, you look at it and you go, oh, it'd be nice to get top 10. But in reality, it's 11th to still sound.
Very good. Very good. And I think from our perspective, when we look at Valencia 10K, you were the one who came away with that equal record. You were the one who beat the Brits. You were faster than the Brits on the day. So there's kind of a mini result there as well. But you seem to prepare. I think, you know, I don't know if you've looked back now at your preparation. You're like, actually, I probably nailed it. Whereas a lot of the others, they didn't race over that Christmas period. You know, you chose to go at that hard 5K on New Year's Eve. And, you know, you chose not to do any cross. You sort of had that half marathon last autumn. Do you feel like you nailed that preparation, you know, in comparison to other guys who were maybe extremely fit, but they didn't quite have that last edge that they would have needed to beat you on the day?
Yeah, I think personally, like, I do feel like I nailed it. Like, I enjoy racing, and that's what I've realised, especially over the roads. Like, I do enjoy racing. You can actually use them as, like, training sessions as well. Like, if you can see that you're making improvements, like, week in, week out, like, you obviously know that through training, but it's good to see it in racing. Like, it does mean that I probably went in race sharp as well, and like, I did make that decision not to do the cross country, and like, I knew I was never going to do Liverpool cross, but the mixed relay was something that I was tempted in going to, and because I thought, based off like my Westminster mile, like, I could give it a good crack and it could suit me. But yeah, I think personally, for me, it did probably crack the preparation right, and like, I just kind of got stuck in with training. And I don't know about anyone else. Like, obviously, everyone has their own approach as well. Like, people might just like having a big block training, but I do like racing. That's what you're there for as well. Like, so obviously, all well and good doing like a 12-week block or whatever, 8-week block of training, but you do want to get out there and race to actually keep that motivation, because otherwise I just get bored if I'm just doing like blocks and blocks. Like, I like the race.
Yeah, like you say, you're racing and almost racing as part of training sometimes. How much are you easing down in between these races? I presume obviously for Valencia you've eased down nicely, but in the kind of like 10 weeks prior to that, how much are you easing down for these races?
Yeah, so I would say with Valencia, I do taper. Like, I think my last real hard thing was the New Year's Eve 5K,
right,
where I did that, and then I did like a session afterwards, and then the rest of the stuff, it was kind of like just ticking over, making sure that I'm moving all right and not actually dropping my mileage too much, because I'm not someone that does like a really high level of mileage anyway. But with some of these like Friday night under lights 5Ks and all that, like, I'll say I'll do a normal training session on Tuesday, and then if the race is on the Friday, I'll do that instead of a training session, and then crack on as normal. If it was like these, like, you know, like not as popular and, you know, it's not going to be as fast, like, I would do that as like a proper training session, like no taper whatsoever, like do like a run in the morning as normal and then go to the race in the evening. That's kind of just like how it worked for me, and like it's kind of worked well. So yeah, tapering for Valencia was like quite a big one, and then all the other races, like, I kind of just adjust here and there, knowing what the competition's going to be like and knowing kind of how fast it will probably go, whether I actually need to have a good taper or not.
It worked very well. It worked very well for you. And I think just on your training, I would love to know who, obviously you're at St. Mary's, mate. You've been there for a while, but who are you training with on the regular, like leading into that Valencia 10K? Were you doing quite a bit of work on your own? It was obviously a large part of it would have been over the Christmas period. Sometimes it's difficult to train, over the Christmas period. You're seeing family, you're pulled around the country. So to come out on the 10th of January and run what you ran is quite a challenge.
Yeah, so I'll kind of do a lot of work, obviously, with Craig. I said kind of like four and a bit weeks out from Valencia. We kind of spoke and we want like quite 4 big weeks for myself, which I was like, I want to hit 70 plus for these 4 weeks. And I managed to hit 75, and then it was the Christmas week and that ended up dropping down to 60 just because it wasn't feasible to actually go and do like, the double sessions, obviously track closed over Christmas or whatever. But I do a lot of work with the group and we've got good, Sam Charig, obviously came third at British Champs, he's a really good guy to train with. But then we've got another group that kind of he's called Josh Hobbs and Tom Butler. Both of them are really good over the long distance and we've worked quite hard together. And then obviously at St. Mary's, as you know, there's loads of people around, loads of different groups, and everyone kind of mixes well together. You can meet up on runs. I link in with Jack quite a lot before he did Valencia Marathon to hit some quite big sessions, which gave me a lot of confidence. And then you got people Adam Clark, you've got the Hocker boys as well. You can kind of mix in with them. It just means that you can share the miles and especially these Sunday long runs where you're pushing up to 15 for me and some of them pushing up to 20. It means that everyone's working hard together and it's just a really good environment and everyone's encouraging each other. And it's kind of showing now that if you can work hard together, it means all of you will perform.
Was there ever a point where you were tempted to join Hoka? I remember maybe 18 months ago or so when that group was getting off the ground a bit more. Were you ever tempted to join those guys? Was there ever an offer on the table?
No, there's never an offer on the table. I was under contract with Hoka for a year, but it was never in the fact of joining that group. And I get on with all the boys really well, but I worked hard with my coach and I feel we've got such a good relationship now and respect for each other that we kind of know what works and what doesn't. And it's just I wouldn't want to change that. Obviously as you get older, what works best for yourself. Craig's there for guidance as well as advice, and that's what I'm there for as well. So no, it was never something that I wanted to do and never was really something that crossed my mind, to be honest.
Can you talk about how your training's evolved with Craig? Because you've been with him a few years now, and you mentioned you kind of hitting 75 miles around that Christmas period coming into Valencia. That was a big week for you. How has that changed since, I guess, when you first went down to St. Mary's as a first year?
Yeah, so it's been pretty mental, really. I remember coming down to St. Mary's. I came as a 404 1500 meter guy and a 152 800 meter guy, thinking that I was got a crack on with the 800s. And I actually came to St. Mary's when I was actually on the verge of almost quitting running. It was kind of there as second chance, and you're an 18-year-old lad. Back home, I was going out all the time, and I wasn't really enjoying the running. But then I came to St. Mary's, gave it a chance for a year, and then I saw a massive growth in my ability and my performances. I managed to get down to 347 in my first year, and I went to that under 20 champs, under 20 European champs for the 3K, which gave me a lot of motivation then for the next few years. I think even still, I probably topped out at around 50-mile weeks in my first year, and then second year was similar, but then I hit COVID and I managed to then pump it up a little bit more. But then we kind of went through a bit of a rocky patch where I got injured quite a fair whack. I had 3 stress fractures all in the same place, and that was pretty brutal. I didn't compete for over a year, and then I managed to bring it back. And since then, we've kind of slowly, gradually built it up again. kind of focusing on a bit more quality rather than quantity, because I feel like I just don't react well to the more miles. I feel like 75 miles is absolute maximum for me. That's why I think as well, like, I had to drop it a little bit going into Christmas because I was tired, and then back-to-back weeks of 75 just knackered me out. We've kind of just, focused on a bit more quality more than anything. And recently, we actually took a step back from, we've done longer sessions, but we've kind of not wanted to push too hard. We kind of want to approach it where you may be hitting a session once every 3 weeks and just kind of ticking everything else off to a decent standard. But then there's like one key session, every 3 weeks where you're like, I'm going to hit this one hard today. I think it just allows you to recover a bit more.
Yeah, when you talk about those longer sessions, is that sort of the 10K specific work that you would have got in pre-Valencia?
Yeah. So I remember there was like one session that I hopped in with Jack for, and I think it was actually more like half to 10K specific.
Yep.
It was like, I think the session was 1 mile, so on the track, 1 mile, 3 mile, 1 mile, 3 mile, 1 mile. And I remember, like, it was, let me think, I think the last mile we closed in like a 4:18, and like that was on the off after 8 miles of volume or something like that. So I knew we were in pretty good nick there. But that's like kind of some of the specific sessions that we have done. But going into Valencia, I don't think I've really hit like one key session. I think there was one session that I did at home, which I actually thought was like, I wasn't happy with the session whatsoever. I actually hated every step of it because I did it by myself, but it was like a few sets of 2K, 1K. And because it didn't have a group, I didn't really know what I was hitting. I didn't think it was that good because it didn't feel great. But in reality, I looked back when I spoke to Craig, I was like, do you know what? It's actually a really good session for where you're at and what we want you to run. And for the fact that you did it by yourself, like, it just kind of shows that you don't always need a group to push on.
Yeah. You mentioned not wanting to, I guess, like push above like 75 miles, but equally you're keeping quality higher. What exactly do you mean by that quality? Like, how often are you hitting faster paces? Like, how many sessions are you doing per week and stuff like that?
Yeah. So like, what I mean by that is like, I'll do a Tuesday session and then maybe like a double threshold session on a Thursday or Friday, and then a long run with like a pickup at the end. I'll say they're like my quality days, and then the rest of it is just kind of like the easy days where you're jogging. But it's not like, I know some people like the easy days will end up doing like 15 miles off the doubles, and like I just not able to do that. One, because I just end up knackered for the next day, but also I've got work, so it's quite hard to fit that in. So it's kind of just put that focus on the Tuesday session, the double session, and the long run. That's kind of where I can put my main focus in for the week.
Wiggy, you've got incredible range. It's well documented, and I wonder, what's your opinion on why your range is so good, how you're able to run 146, but also you've made that transition to the half marathon to the 10K look, quite frankly, very easy. And I think there'll probably be a lot of 336 guys now thinking, maybe I'll give this 10K a crack. He's going to run the British record. Why do you think, especially this year, talk about end of summer, you obviously didn't make that British Champs final. You still ran fast in the summer. A few months later, you're running 62 flat for a half marathon, in Manchester. You didn't go to where those boys run quick, Valencia, for it. So what did you do at the end of summer to get ready for that half? And why do you think that transition just was so smooth to those longer distances? They look like they've come very naturally to you.
I think with the end of summer, like, kind of knew midway through summer that I wasn't happy with how I was racing. I think I was putting a bit too much pressure on myself to go and run fast. Like, I knew I was in quite good shape and like, my training was kind of showing that, but mentally I was putting a lot of pressure on these races and they weren't going well. And like, after British Champs, first I like lost my head and I just kind of wanted to just have some sort of different focus. And I actually said to Craig, like, can we go run like some like big half or something like that? And we never ended up doing that because it was like 3 weeks away, and like I'm kind of glad that I never, because like that was my initial reaction. But when I got back training again, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm in any sort of shape to do a half. I just think with the fact that like I've always stayed on top of like some speed work, I think I'm always able to like crack a 400 like at the end of a session or midway through the session, 60 seconds. Like I'm always able to keep on top of that. And I kind of just know that within myself that I've always had quite a good engine, but I've never actually proven it on the roads. Like it's never something that I've turned my focus to. And I think I just did the right things of surrounding myself in the fact of training wise, who to train with, kind of like pushing them longer sessions where you're kind of looking at it and like instead of doing like a 1 mile at the start, you do a 2 mile and then add another 1 mile at the end. Like that's kind of just something where we added to the training. And I think it just benefits me that I'm able to still run quite fast, but have that like long distance now. And then it comes to the show like in the races where I'm able to finish quite quickly, and it definitely has helped me massively.
And you mentioned there obviously like who you can train with, and you've mentioned training with people like Jack Rowe and stuff. That must fill you with confidence, right? That you can go run 1 mile, 3 mile, etc., with someone of his caliber over the half marathon, and regardless of what shape you thought you were in before, you come away from those knowing that you're going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, like definitely. Like knowing that I'm one of them like caliber of people, like I'm able to stick with them for a good amount of the session, like does give you a good amount of confidence. Like don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of times before in sessions where like Jack's absolutely annihilated me, Clarky's annihilated me towards the tail end of a session, and you just know that like beforehand, I'm like, well, realistically, they should be able to run away from me. Like Jack's like a 13:04 guy. Clarky's obviously, his training's unbelievable. Like they should actually be able to run away from me because I'm not at that caliber yet. And it just gives you that good amount of confidence that I can stick with them for as long as I can, really. And, you know, everyone's there to help each other out and give each other motivation. And I think that definitely just helps that you at least in a training environment where everyone's happy and everyone's moving well together. It just means that you're confident throughout the whole season.
Agree. I mean, you've had a bit of an underdog career, Wiggy. Is that fair to say? Like you've always achieved, you've had great success, but I guess those sort of top results, like that British record you got on the weekend, have eluded you. So is this the start of a bit of a new chapter in your career? And I guess my question is, where do you go? I think you have great range, and I guess you're trying to decide where do you take your career in the next 4 years, especially from a contract perspective as well, potentially. You're probably, I mean, you must definitely be looking to be signed, and you want to take this professionally, and signing that contract probably starts to dictate where you take your career as well, whether you sign a road contract or a track contract. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Like, I feel like in reality, like there's always got to be a limit to, like, you look on the power of 10, and like I'm always on that very limit of, you look ahead, all these people on professional contracts, and I'm there not on a professional contract, but neither is anyone else below me. And like there's always going to be that cut off, and it's just so happened that I'm always kind of been that one person that's that cut off. But yeah, I think obviously moving forward, like I think I will stick to the road definitely over the winter time. I think I enjoy cross, but I've enjoyed those series quite a lot more. And I kind of want to look at it in the fact that with whatever I do on track is kind of going to benefit me on the road. That's not to say like I'll still probably want to do my 1500s because that's what I enjoy, but like running what I did at the weekend, like it's kind of like I think I may have got like the European standards. I'm not sure if it correlates on the.
You did, mate. 2750, yeah. 2750 was the standard.
Yeah, like obviously I've always kind of said like 28 laps is a lot of laps, and like that's going to be hard to get my head around, but I feel like I've got to give it a crack now, and like I feel like knowing that I've got run that time on the road, like obviously you can go run that on the track, and just got to get in them right races and give that a crack for the summer. But I feel like you always look at the like top guys as well. Like they can all run like a top level 1500 meter as well. And like you do got to have that speed and that racing brain. And I feel like that's what can benefit me in the longer distance. But yeah, I mean, if a contract comes and it's like more focused on the roads, like I wouldn't necessarily mind that. It would hopefully mean that I can still do some track. And that's the same again. If it's track focused, then I hope it's all good for the roads. I think it's just finding the right thing that works best for yourself personally, because if you're not enjoying running, you're not going to do well. And I kind of found that out in the summer, and since I've actually been enjoying it, like I've been performing a lot better. So hopefully like brands understand that and coaches understand that. Like Craig understands that massively with me. If I'm not there, not motivated, then I'm probably not going to run well. So I think, yeah.
Mate, I mean, so you were with Hoka for a year. I mean, they've dropped the ball letting you go, mate. They could have kept that British record in that Hoka camp. So I hope they're coming to you with a new check, mate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was with them for a year. I knew kind of that what could happen happened. With the fact that there's no guarantee after a year that you can get re-signed, but it was just kind of annoying in the fact that, you know, I know I didn't make any massive breakthroughs, but I PB'd in every area that I ran in. I was on the cusp of making like the European cross team. I did improve, and for them to not kind of resign was kind of annoying. And I think that's what kind of put a lot of pressure on the summer, because I was like, I need to earn money somehow. And if I can do that through a professional contract, then that'll obviously be the best thing.
It's very tough. I mean, that's rare that someone gets signed for a year and dropped. You know, you only have 12 months with the brand. I always think it's very difficult to get a contract in this sport. But once you get it, brands show you a little bit of, they're quite lenient when you're on that contract. They give you a few years to, you know, even if you're not quite performing, they give you a couple extra years on the back end. So you might not get those early years where you get the contract. But I think towards the end of your career, they look after you a little bit more. But obviously, yeah, in this case, it just wasn't to be, and that's a real shame. So I wish you the best of luck in getting something, hopefully in the next few months, as quick as that. So, you know, just to clarify, you're keen to do, if Highgate exists this summer, you'd want to toe the line and take those same guys on that you took on in Valencia and compete over 25 laps.
Yeah, I'll give it a crack. Like, I think I've always said, like, if I was to do a 10K, then I think Highgate would be a good one to do, because you see, like, you look at some of the European 10Ks and, like, you are, like, there's no atmosphere, whereas at Highgate, like, I've paced that race before, and, like, I only did the first 8 laps, but, like, it flew by just purely for the fact that you've got crowds of people the whole way round, and I think that would probably be, obviously it wouldn't be easy, but mentally it'd probably be one of the easiest ones to do, because you probably just have so much adrenaline going through the whole way round. So yeah, if Highgate is going on, which obviously I know it never went on last year, but if it goes on again this year, then yeah, it would definitely be something that I would give a crack at.
Yeah. And more immediate future then, obviously race at the weekend. What's next in the pipeline for you? No rest. I know Matt was on your Strava just before we started recording, so you've been on the tempo this morning, but what's coming up for you in the next few weeks and next month or so?
Yeah. So I took a few easy days and then got back into the swing of things today. The next race I'm going to do is Barcelona half. I managed to get myself an elite entry there, whereas Valencia was sub-elite. But yeah, I've got elite entry there where, you know, I know it kind of be different to Manchester. Like, I won't be naive to the situation of what's going on with how to run a half, and like I'm kind of going to be probably a bit more focused on running at a certain pace rather than just trying to race to win. But if I can go run under 61:30, then obviously I'll be made up, or get as close to 61 as possible. Hopefully that's something that we'll aim to do. But yeah, it'd be Barcelona half, and I think I've already got the standard for the World Road Running Champs in the half, but I need to 100% check on that. But I'm going to turn up to Bath half, because I know that's a trials race, and like what's worked well with me, that I've kind of had these races planned out, like all the ones over before Christmas, I kind of had them planned out, And then I kind of said in post-January that these are 3 big races that I want: Valencia, Barcelona, and Bath. They're 3 races that I'm going to work hard towards. And yeah, so Bath's going to be a big aim. And then obviously I know there's a 5K in Battersea again after at the tail end of Feb, I think it is. So if all goes well at Barcelona and I come off it like not too tired, I probably will turn up to that as well, because it's obviously not too far away from me now.
Mate, you're going to bankrupt those poor folks at Battersea. No, that's brilliant to hear. That's very exciting, because I think the fields are shaping up well, yeah, for that as well. But are you going to get out to altitude at all? You know, it's difficult, right? I guess you have to juggle work and everything like that, but you didn't go to altitude pre that British record. So I wonder if you have it planned for a half.
Yeah, so normally I go on, so the past couple of years I've gone on 2 camps a year, one being South Africa in January and then Font in April. I decided with the fact that I was going to do Valencia that I'm not going to go to South Africa, because obviously it's just pointless midway through Jan. But I probably will head out to altitude in April time, just getting ready before track. But I won't head out beforehand, before the halves. Like with work, I'm kind of tied into the school holidays as well. So I've been quite fortunate to get away with that in the past couple of years. But yeah, this year I've kind of committed a lot to work. So over them Easter holidays is when I normally go to Font and manage to take a few days off either side of it to kind of make it a longer camp. But yeah, I won't go before Barca or Bath.
Fair. Are you working for Kev Quinn? Are you working at Real Runners? Is that?
Yeah, I am. I've
Nice.
been with him for 5-6 years now.
Man, those kids have got a British record holder teaching them. That's good.
Yeah, like I think Kev said, like obviously he's had a fair whack of people working for him as well, hasn't he? So I think Elliot Giles used to work for him, Jack used to work for him. So the kids are quite lucky with the fact that the people they've had coaching.
Yeah. Dude, these kids are being set up for success for sure. Hey, Wiggy, thank you very much, mate. Wish you all the best into Barcelona. But yeah, cheers for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.
There it is from the man himself. Mate, to be honest, great to hear that he's going to continue chasing these half marathons and he's got an eye on Highgate, because I think we mentioned before he jumped on that we just hope these guys race each other again, rather than this being the sole 10K that they run this year. So let's hope people are joining him anyway for that hopefully a trial race this summer.
It does impress me how much Wigfield races. And I think not just races, but races at high level. I think he never shies away from competition. He even mentioned that Battersea under lights. I'm like, God, if you just run Barca half, would you want to go rip a 5K around Battersea? But he loves it. And I think he's one of these rare athletes who can actually deliver consistently at high level. I think a lot of them, you know, there's a lot of yo-yoing in performances, but for Wigfield, not so much, you know. I think, you know, takes from me from that, you know, I hope he gets sponsored. It is a shock that he's still trying, but I think that's just the nature of the sport. Like I think as an athlete now with the level, and you look at where national records are and stuff like that, it is so hard. And before, people used to see the road as like low hanging. It's like, oh, okay, I'll get a road contract. It's much easier. You know, in people's contracts, it used to be bonuses of like, I'll break 63 minutes, you get a bonus. 62 minutes, you get a bonus. Whereas that now the road has gone to a completely different place. I think it is now going to come the equivalent of track contracts. You know, track contracts, if you're not running, you know, if you're a guy and you're not running, I don't know, 27:20 or 27:10 or 30. And if you're a woman, if you're not running 30:30 or 14:40 or 15 minutes for a 5K, you're not going to get that contract. And that's why a lot of people
contracts. This is the thing as well. Like there's people getting some shoes and a couple grand, and people are able to support themselves off it, you know. And that's the thing. Yes, it's good that brands do support people with more than finance, but that's what these athletes need to compete on the top level, is to be full time and to be able to really lock in and recover and get their training done. Because you can only think that, yes, that they found a good balance, like Joe Wigfield and Craig in his training, where they might get up to 75 mile a week, they'll hit some quality, but that guy's full time and he can spend more time recovering in between these sessions. that's how he's going to push on, is to push the envelope. And it doesn't mean more miles necessarily, but maybe it is faster work, even faster work, or another added session, or just being more relaxed going into training, whatever it is, and that's how he's going to then reach that next level of being, I guess, a true elite in the summer and on the track.
Absolutely. And I think having that ability to just train with more guys of a high quality, he mentioned the people he works in with, but I think that's it's where the sport's coming to now. I think the road used to be seen as an easy win to pick up a contract. Even someone
also,
like
he'd had a fat bonus from the weekend if he had a contract, which would have.
This is the problem, right? And now when he signs, now when he signs, they're going to say, well, go break 27, for you to get some sort of bonus, go break 27:30 or go run 27:20. It's like, go run 60 for a half. So it is a challenge, but that's where the sport's got to, really. I think, just on Wiggy's preparation as well, I think he did nail it. Like, you look at the other men, he just had that little extra race sharpness, and you could argue he's always got that. He's always had quite a good finish on the roads and stuff like that. But I think just having that little bit more sharpness, going in slightly more prepared. The other men were extremely fit. BT supposedly was ill for it, or ill the week of the race. Which is a shame for him. But again, that does come down to the preparation. What you're doing over that festive period. What are you doing to make sure that you're not going to get ill, that you're going to go there? And that's, Valencia is a challenge in that way. I think so close after Christmas, it is kind of a bit of a hit or miss. What sort of, I guess, date you get to the racing, because it is difficult. It's almost impossible not to socialize over the Christmas period.
It is, but I think if you're bothering to go out to Valencia and you're looking at that opportunity to box off your standard for the summer, shouldn't matter, right? If that's your sole goal is to go there and run.
If that's your goal,
I'm not saying everyone should do that, but I think it's difficult to make that excuse for athletes, for the ones who are full time, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so I think, great. Yeah, it is. So it was good. It's good to hear from Wiggy, and very interesting sort of, the way he trains, and it is quite staggering what he's been able to do over those distances, knowing his volume. And I think it does come back to, for some people, and the quality is important. I think he does volume at quality, and okay, his weekly numbers aren't there, but when it counts, the numbers are there on that quicker stuff. He is getting that 9-10 mile of work in at big, at high speeds as well. So, and I think that's the difference maker for a lot of people. But also, mate, I think we should just touching on Eilish a little bit. And I was very excited and / shocked from that performance, because, we said before maybe 30-20, 30-30 would be a good result for her. She'd be chuffed with that, getting back towards, but to go break that European record again, to get right on the cusp of 30 minutes, I think now you're looking, if she can stay healthy before London, this is someone who could crack two. Rightly so. I think it'd be a long time coming, but that's exactly what she needs. She put herself not back on the map, but back as a headliner athlete that she is, and sort of re-announced herself in 2026 early on.
Yeah, and I think she needed to. And you look at the marathons and they were good, but she's put herself out far ahead of the other British women over the past five or so years, and it was starting to seem like she'd lost that air of invincibility a bit. But yeah, like you say, you look at that performance last weekend, and this is phenomenal, 30:08, and I just hope it's not too quick, too soon, because we obviously remember that the first time we expected her to run London, and it was performance after performance after performance. And what was it? Was it the half
late injury? Yeah.
And I just hope she gets there healthy, and we see a truly unreal performance from her over the marathon.
Yeah, me too. So I think that's it from Valencia. It is a tricky one for us to sit here and analyze, because one, on the coverage, you don't see any of the race, bar Almgren. And he was just, at the front, just clipping off at what was an even rhythm early, then a nice negative split for him. And I think, and so everyone else, like for us to talk about Eilish's run, she's difficult. Like she ran fast and everyone ran fast. And I think this is a bit like Boston as well. When people go to Boston, it's like, well, they've just nailed 200 after 200 after 200 right on pace. What more is there to sort of talk about? Because there is no race element. And I think I actually missed Wiggy cross the line because I saw Scott coming. I was like, he's probably going to be first Brit. And I think Wiggy was a little bit over to the right. I was just so focused on Beatty, and he was having a kick with a few others like Ephraim and stuff like that. I missed Wiggy, and one of the lads texted and was like, Wiggy got that. I was like, I didn't even see it. But it was just so many of them charging down the finish line, and that's the best of the best bit of the race that we saw was that last 10 seconds.
Bring on track season, mate. It's not long. Then we can start really getting our teeth stuck into the races again. We'll come around quick. But yeah, thanks for listening to us, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Obviously, we're reviewing Valencia and chatting to Joe Wigfield as well. We'll catch you very soon to review the World Cross. So look out for that one too.